Hi, I'm Shannon Everett, ThunderBayLive.com. We have a chance today to sit down with Don Bays here at Arts Gallery, 12 St. Paul Avenue. So Don, you've been working at this for a little while now, and you got some incredible, unique things here. You've been doing custom leather work for how long?
Over 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
So what kind of stuff are you finding, are the most in your repertoire that people are requesting?
I do a lot of custom work, so I mean it varies from client to client, right? Lately, there's been a big run on the drinking horns. Of course, the summer season's upon us, and people like to have their beer, right? So I found that I've been doing a lot of those lately. Right now, I'm working on knife roll for chef's knives sets.
Wow.
A couple of custom belts, some saddlebags. So, like I say, from client to client, it varies.
So you mentioned the drinking horns. We have one here
Yes.
in front of us depicted in the table. So tell us a little bit about these cellars.
Well, it's a reproduction of a Viking drinking horn. Now, what I do is I get the steer horns and I treat the inside with a food grade epoxy, so they're food safe, and they're great for beer and better for rum.
So the horn themselves, they are full-on hollowed out cow horns?
Yeah, it's a steer horn.
It's a steer horn?
Yeah, so basically, the inside of the horn is very much like the inside of an antler. It's while the animal's alive, it's full of blood, right? And it's very porous, like a sponge. When the animal's slaughtered, of course, then the skull dries out, and then the horns will just slide off. Now, they do have to be cleaned up and sanded and polished. And
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So we're here at Satellite Studio here, Arts Gallery. You do have, a variety of things that, you have here, a variety of artists.
Mm-hmm.
So how did this all come into being? I mean, you and I go back, quite a long way.
Right.
And this is relatively new, and I mean, you seem to be doing well, but tell us a little bit on how this all came about.
Well, I started off when I moved back to Thunder Bay and opened my business, Hide 5 Leather, right? And was working from my home, and then secured a spot at the Thunder Bay Country Market, where I've been now for 4 years. And November last year, I spoke with Carol Cadrini, who I'd met through the market. And Carol's here in the gallery with me. She helped me get this going. Basically, she said, I've got a little spot, Satellite Studios, next door to us here, that maybe we could do some retail before Christmas. So I come to take a look at it, and I said, it's nice, but it was like a closet compared to this place, right? And while we were talking, the landlord was talking with the previous tenant here who was moving out. Now, this used to be Hanson's Pool Room when I was growing up, so there were some fond memories here. Best hot dogs in Thunder Bay, and my dad used to bring us here on the weekends, and he'd shoot pool, and we'd eat hot dogs and have fun and play pinball, So there was a little bit of a historical tie back for me. I asked the landlord for the paperwork, took a look at it, and I called Carol that night, and I said, what do you figure, you want to do it? And she went, sure. So here we are. We opened up in November. I've now got Carol Cadrini, who's a fine arts graduate from Lakehead University,
Mm-hmm.
and she works in a multitude of different mediums, right? Myself, I'm a leather worker, and I do some chainmail and scrimshaw and antler work and build some knives and things like that. Joyce Seppel is in here with us. She's a world-class clothing designer. I've got Superior Gems and Jewelry. They're out of Atikokan, and he works in precious and semi-precious stones. I've got some of Chris Stone's work, another prominent local artist, Ian McAdam, George Price, who's a Salish woodcarver. I've got some of his work in here.
Wow.
Right, so it's a collective of artists. Yeah.
So have you given any thought of where to go from here?
Well, ideally, what we want to do is really promote a culture, right? So we're running classes in here as well, teaching lost skills, lost arts, basically. And ultimately, what I'd like to do is put something together on the same model as the North House Folk School down in the States in Grand Marais. Right? We have all the talent in the world here in Thunder Bay, all the beauty, everything we need to do it. Right? So that's the ultimate goal, is to build an arts education kind of program.
Well, so tell us a little bit about the classes. We did mention I did an interview with Carol.
Right.
We touched upon them, but you, of course, yourself teach the lost skills. Teach.
Yes,
variety of things.
I've been teaching for years. I love to pass on knowledge, right? I've coached archery. I've taught primitive living skills. Most recently now, I focus more on my leather work, right? So as an example, I ran a moccasin course in here, teaching people how to make their own moccasins, and I've done a leather carving course. We've also done acrylic painting, plaster of Paris, and we had a guest artist come in, Deb Spear, and she was teaching soapstone carving.
Wow.
Right? So ultimately, that's what I want to have continue, is the education programs.
And what are your price points like for these classes?
So they vary. An example for me to teach a moccasin course, $250 a person, right? But it's a 2-day course, right? 8 hours a day, so 16 hours of my time, my experience, my expertise, all the materials, and they go home with a beautiful pair of moccasins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Handcrafted by themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that sense of accomplishment at the end when they look at them and have them on makes a big difference.
Wow.
Yeah. When Deb did the soapstone carving, now I'm just off the top of my head, it was a couple $100 as well. But she had 4 students, and they all picked very big projects for their first go around. And out of that came 3 beautiful bears and a raven. You know, so
wow.
Yeah, they really
first time out of the gate.
First time out of the gate. Yeah, I mean it's a great testament to the teacher when the students can pull that off. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to touch upon? Anything you'd like to promote? Like to do a poll?
Well, we've got a couple of things coming up in September.
Okay.
The first thing is on the 13th of September, we're going to have a show on the street called Precious Metals. And what we're doing is we're going to profile a lot of Carol's work, because she does do a lot of work in metal.
Right.
And some of my blacksmith buddies, and some knife makers, local knife makers, some jewelers, right? And promote metal art, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the first thing we got happening coming up in September. And then at the end of the month, we just got to pick a date now, but I've been talking with Mark St. Cyr and his wife, and they've just trademarked a line of camouflage formal wear.
I have heard about that.
Wonderful, wonderful, very unique idea, and I think it's going to be just going wild here in Thunder Bay. So we're going to do a fashion show here at the gallery.
Wow. And when do you plan on having that?
That's
Still tentative?
Tentative, but it's going to be near the end of September.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on that for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Don, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out here, to speak with us here. And again, Arts Gallery 12 St. Paul. Come on down. As you just heard, we have a bunch of artists collectively, showing their wares. I'm Shannon Everett, ThunderBayLive.com. Thanks for watching.